Hey, what's up? My name's Eleanor.
My name's Erica.
And we're the hosts of Femconcept, which is a radio show here on CiTR radio. Our show is Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. And what do we play?
We play female content, Femcon, which is a CiTR established kind of category of music, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And 2 of 4 categories have to be fulfilled, so either has to be written by the female, lyrics written by the female, she has to either be performing in the band or produced. So 2 of those 4 categories have to be fulfilled for it to be Femcon, and that is what we play.
I'd wanted a show at CiTR for a really long time, but I didn't know what I wanted to make the show about. I was organizing International Women's Day programming here at CiTR last year, trying to come up with music to play during that day. It was like 12 hours of programming or something, and it made me realize that so much of the music that I've listened to, probably 80 to 90% of it, is all men. All made by men, produced by men, written by men, performed by men, and I had never really thought about that. And when I realized that, it just kind of totally changed my whole perspective of listening and intaking and enjoying music.
And how you have to actually quite search for it.
Yeah, and sometimes
every week for our show we have to, it's not like we can just go through our iTunes and go, this one, or whatever. It requires quite a bit of research.
I think a common misconception with the category of Femcon is that it has to be an all-girls band.
People always ask.
Yeah, and only, or I remember one of the first shows we did, and I played this band called Fountain from Victoria, and the girl's a drummer. And I played it, and my mom is texting me, that wasn't a girls' band, because the girl isn't singing.
She doesn't sing, yeah, exactly. And
You're
they think,
no.
So, and that's the other thing, that a lot of people think that the woman has to be the singer, who's usually considered, the forefront, the main, what everybody's eyes are on the entire time, and that women, drummers, right? There's, this whole thing, oh, whoa, she's a drummer.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
That's so
That's
wild.
So, wow.
It's the struggle between not focusing only on the fact that it's a female making music or a female in the band. It's no, this is really good music, it's a good song, it's a good band, I like it, and it's really awesome that there's 2 or 3 girls in this band also, but you can't forget the fact that that there's a reason why it's rare to find a band where the girl is a drummer, or there just aren't as many. That's not an accident.
And the whole thing is even a girl being a drummer or a bassist, I find those are just the 2 that, because people think men always play those instruments. The male is the standard, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you are an excellent bassist or a drummer, you're good for a girl. Yeah. Whatever it is.
One of the things that I've realized through doing this is that female producers are even fewer. It is so rare to find something produced by a woman, and again, it's not an accident why that is, it's not just it just happened that way. It's because of years and years of sexism within the music industry that make, and all these challenges that women have to overcome if they want to be a successful producer, right?
You might not even be given a chance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, you think, as I've read about some things where people kind of talk about this lack of women in production, and you think about the Beatles and all those bands that revolutionized the music industry, and their little, well, not little, but they're motto or whatever, producers are in the background, and
just
you never would, if you saw a woman at the time, she probably wouldn't be taken seriously, or the music could have been better if there had been a man, if they had decided to have a woman kind of take that role, because when you're producing the music, you're pretty much your master and commander.
Yeah, so. And I think there are female producers. I mean, they definitely exist. Yeah, no, but the thing is this is what a lot of them talk about, is that when you're put in that role, then you're given this kind of, a lot of the time, this choice whether you're going to sexualize yourself or kind of become just this entity, because that's the thing that it takes for people to notice you, or not even take you seriously, because they probably won't. It becomes really easy for women to do that because they see that as a way to kind of get their name out there,
through,
which is, bullshit, because guys don't have to do that. Like, they're not expected to be like, oh, a digital mastermind, but also like look perfect, you know, and maybe like, can you sing as well? And if you can do that, like, what does that sound like?
Now, granted, after all this, I just want to say that, like, we acknowledge there are challenges for all people trying to break into the music industry,
yes.
regardless of gender.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess sometimes it's just when you start to really get down to the nitty-gritty and doing the research on who's producing what and who's singing and what, if the
yeah.
women have actually written it, it gets all complicated because I personally find that I just see a lot of male stuff, and then it makes me feel kind of ever so slightly, like, frustrated because
yeah.
I'm like, I find there's just, the volume of this is inextricably larger than that of females, and so it's just like, it feels kind of, that's the trick, right? Don't get frustrated about these things in life, because you know,
well, you're gonna get a little bit frustrated.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of anger, because that's gonna, like, you know, if I didn't feel angry about this, I don't think I would have thought it was, like, worth making a show, because it felt weird, like, playing only Femcon, like, are people gonna, you know, like, that's just, like, complete opposite, like, is that gonna throw people off, or is that gonna turn people away, are people not gonna want to listen?
Yeah.
And then you just say, fuck those people.
And then you sometimes get old men calling and saying,
yep.
I like that you're playing this girl music
True
on
story.
here. I
True
like
story.
this. We were like, yes,
That's
this
sweet.
is why we do this.
Yeah.
The old middle-aged men calling us, wondering what we're playing and asking exactly what the titles are and stuff. So.
Or your friends being like, I didn't know there was a girl in that band, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Or just, and you're like, yeah, it's good music. It's awesome that she's there. It's not about her being there. But
there's room for her to be there.
Exactly. So. As a music scene, Vancouver does pretty well in being supportive. I mean, I'm not a musician.
I find that, like, so many bands, like, we just have gone to house shows recently and stuff, and I always see a female there, and I'm like, that's so cool.
All these bands are coming into my head now that we're done. Dead Soft,
yeah.
And Cool TV,
yeah.
and Fountain, who I mentioned before. They're from Victoria, another female drummer. You just saw a band from LA with a female drummer and singer, Tashaki Miyake.
Oh, yeah, Tashaki Miyake. It was great.
Great band.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's totally out there.
And if you don't want to look, you can just listen to us. Though our show is primarily music, and that's kind of what we're trying to create a conversation around. We also talk about, like, events that are going on campus in regard to some kind of, I don't want to say, I guess radical somewhat.
Yeah.
Things that are going on with other kind of groups that are advocating for minority groups. And so we talk about events that are going on in that way as well. So we kind of give a voice to it all.
You can check us out on CiTR's website, www.citr.ca, and you can tune in there online, as well as on your FM dial, if you're cool enough to have a radio still, maybe, 101.9 FM.
I don't even know, yeah. I don't have a radio.
You're not cool?
No.